And Jupiter and Rahu, tricky combination. Jupiter and Rahu can work very well for individuals, but there are certain aspects of it that one has to master, as with all placements with Rahu. Jupiter deals with wealth, wisdom, abundance, opportunity, happiness, gratitude, forgiveness. Rahu can deal with things like confusion, misunderstanding, toxicity, deceit. But Rahu is also extremely intelligent. So when we get these two planets together, it can show that in this lifetime, the person is meant to do a few things that they've not done in past lifetimes. So they're not going to be easy, but with time and attention, they can develop them. What are these things? Well, number one, it can show a person who in past lifetimes has not been able to successfully manage their wealth well. They've not put a lot of time and attention to it. They've not managed their resources well. They might have wasted their energy on frivolous tasks or frivolous endeavors and causes. So they're learning to conserve their energy more efficiently. The practice of brahmacharya can be recommended for Jupiter-Rahu combination. That's usually the furthest thing that a Jupiter-Rahu person wants, because they want to go out and sow their wild oats. And with brahmacharya, we're saying, take a step back. Do those things which are most supportive of your life. Let go of all those things that waste your energy. Most of the time, they can't understand what wastes their energy. So with Rahu, we see that the person is learning to develop discernment. They might not have discernment. They might not have discernment in regards to proper kinds of teachings or teachers to follow. They're misled by teachers. For a woman interested in men, they might not have the discernment about how to choose a partner that will support them in marriage and be good to them in marriage or be there for them in marriage. The key is to develop the discernment, which requires admitting when things don't work and how they don't work, and to let go of one's fantasies. Rahu is about fantasy, remember. He's the reason we're all here. If it wasn't for his fantasy, digging up the world, out of the depths of consciousness, the ocean of the deepest consciousness, the desire of it, we wouldn't be here. So on one hand, we have to thank Rahu. But on the other hand, when it comes to a problematic situation, we need to make peace with our fantasies and let go of our fantasies. This will give a very friendly personality, but they won't have a lot of discernment about who to befriend and who not to befriend. They'll typically just give to everybody. And again, that comes to the idea of brahmacharya and wasting their time and energy. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, with this friendship, it's mutually supportive. We're assisting each other to help improve ourselves and to make the world a better place. It's quite another thing to be in a friendship that's one-sided, where there's codependency. And we'll often see codependent people who have this Jupiter-Rahu combination, where they're giving, they're supportive to others. They don't quite know that they need to step back and take care of themselves and take care of their own happiness, a Jupiter-related thing. So we need to remember this with Jupiter and Rahu, that the things we need to develop is the wisdom to maintain our resources, to conserve our energy, the discernment to know who to spend time with, the discernment to know how to have a good partner. And with Rahu, I always tell people this is the area of life where you're totally drunk, meaning you need to have someone that you go talk to and say, I absolutely do not know what to do here. Should I drive home or not? And the person who's sober says, you should not drive home, give me your keys. And you trust them. You don't say, I can drive, just give me the keys, I'll make it home. With Jupiter and Rahu, you need to say to a financial advisor, someone who knows what to do with money. I mean, really knows, not just the financial advisor you pay to guess at what stocks to buy, but the person who you look at their life and you say, they've got a solid financial plan. They've paid off their house, they don't have any debt, they can go on trips whenever they want, they can donate money whenever they want because they manage their money well. That's the kind of advisor you want to go and say, how do you do that? And they're going to give you all these rules. And you're going to say, I don't want to do those rules. That's too constricting. It's Rahu Jupiter wanting to be completely free. But you have to listen to them because that's what you're meant to do in this lifetime. Jupiter and Rahu. How do you have a good marriage? You don't go to a marriage counselor who's got a deep interest in marriage and yet doesn't have a good marriage. That's a joke. I was talking to another astrologer one time, and he said, all those astrologers who are interested in financial astrology, relationship astrology, whatever it might be, typically They're interested in it because they don't know what to do. They themselves, that's the part of their life that's totally messed up. So you don't want to go, I'm not saying that's true for everybody, so let's back up there. That's not true for everybody, but it was a funny statement that I heard. For a relationship advisor, think about someone in your life, if you know anyone, who they've got a solid marriage. Yes, they might still get in fights with their partner. Things still might go south from time to time, but they know how to get through it and to build a strong, long-lasting, supportive relationship with someone. That's the kind of relationship counselor you need. You go talk to them, you say, how do you do it? And they give you this long list of rules and things that you have to do to make it work. And Jupiter Rahu is going to say, but that's too much. I don't want to do that. But remember, you're drunk. So you need to say, all right, I trust you. I'm going to try this. Here are the keys. Tell me what to do, and I will do my best to, by God, try it. And you have to go through with it. You have to really try it. Because if not, you just end up wandering in confusion with relationships, with wealth. This can also show a person who might not necessarily know how to relate well to their children, to be responsible with their children. So they're learning in this lifetime how to be responsible to children. It can also create dishonesty with children or dishonesty with the mate and the partner. So not only do you have to be discerning, but you also have to have a watchful eye with your children or a watchful eye with your spouse without being too, paranoid. With Rahu, it's always a fine line. It's always a balance between, am I being paranoid or is this really something I need to pay attention to? Which is why you need that counselor. So where you share with them what's going on. And they say, well, this is probably what's happening, to give you a different objective opinion. Rahu and Jupiter can bring great wealth into a person's life, can bring great opportunities for spiritual growth, because that's the nature of Jupiter, the expansiveness, opportunities. And Rahu, he acts like a magnifier that just explodes that power. But just because you got a lot of something doesn't mean it's qualitatively worthwhile. So that's why this idea of learning to prune things out, to be more discerning, comes in here. But Rahu and Jupiter time periods can be great periods for wealth, can be great periods for growth. This can make a person interested in other cultures, other philosophies, more comfortable in other lands and other countries, and give partners of a foreign birth. A marriage or relationships that are not, traditional marriages. Maybe this is the kind of person that gets involved in polyamory. Maybe this is the kind of person that in their culture they have to have an arranged marriage, but they can't have an arranged marriage. They need to have a love-based marriage. So typically with Jupiter and Rahu, if there's other influences to that 9th house or 7th house, there will be an untraditional approach to relationships, and the family just has to make peace with that. So there's nothing really you can do about that. So if you've got this combination, you're always trying to please your family, meaning your traditional family with traditional values, more than likely it's not going to happen. So just quit torturing yourself with that expectation. All right, so next up we'll look at Jupiter and Ketu.